Did you hear from him? Or your mother did?
Yeah.
When?
When I went in December.
Don't you miss him? Why don't you invite him to come over for this jalsa? Huh?
Okay.
ठीक है? Right. Mohammed, how are you?
Alright.
Fine? You are growing very fast now. Huh? I see you increasing by the day. In height, I mean.
So, why is a person allowed to have more than one wife at the same time?
Why is a person allowed to have more than one wife?
Yeah.
Are you worried about your father? Don't you worry. I'm quite sure one is quite enough for him. How many among your relatives have married more than once?
None as far as none as far as I know.
See? So there is no problem. This problem, when it comes, it will come in a manner that you will all understand. Sometimes during wars, there is a large-scale slaughter of men, and a surplus number of women are left, which, if they don't find a husband, will corrupt the society and create so many problems. So this permission of Allah is a very wise permission which is applicable to some human phases in their history. But also in ordinary times, sometimes there is need for marrying more than once, and that is understandable. When somebody marries, then people understand that there was some need which was genuine. But the permission in itself is wise. You can always tell your Christian friends as to what happened during the First World War, or after the First World War and the Second World War. As an aftermath of these wars, when the number of women increased by a large proportion in European societies, because Christians were not permitted to marry twice or more than two times, the whole society was imbalanced. There was a much larger number of women in the society than men. So those extra women, what were they doing? They were corrupting the society, corrupting the husbands of those who were married. So practically, they were living with so many wives, in fact. Only this time it was not legalized. So the issue is whether you should have legalized wives or illegal wives. Of course, legalized wives is a much better and saner answer, isn't it? Right? So I hope you don't wish to be born after the war. I hope you don't wish that you grow up at a time when there is an after a war period, when you can marry more than once. You understand my question? What do I say?
Pardon?
What have I said?
You said that you wouldn't like to grow up.
I wish that you are not nursing a wish in your heart that you grow up at a time, you become marriageable at a time when a war is just over and there is a surplus of women, where men can marry more than twice. Now you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And is that what you wish? What is your personal desire? Tell me. Why did you think at all of such a question at your age? That is what is bothering me. I'm wondering why. Because you told me in answer to my question that there was no person to your knowledge in your entire large family who had married twice. Correct?
Yeah.
And the present period of peace is where we find the women to be almost in the equal number as that of men. Correct?
Yeah.
So why did this question occur to you? And you are so young, you are not yet adult are you? Why this question occurred to you? That is what I'm wondering. Can you answer? No? No. Why I'm saying it is because I wanted to understand. My comment was just by way of joke. Don't take them seriously. What I was wondering was, do you confront such questions at schools from your Christian friends?
Yeah.
So why didn't you tell me that? You should have told me this idea didn't occur to you, but it was because Christian friends in school ask you this question very often. Correct?
Yeah.
So now can you answer them properly? Are you well equipped with this answer? Do you remember it clearly? So that whenever you are faced with such a question, you can respond to your own and to their satisfaction? Right?
Yeah.
Good.
Exactly.
You see, once I remember, I thought of this because when I was a student of the University of London in 1956, long before you were ever, I think your father was born, of course, at that period, but not you. Huh? Certainly not. Huh?
Yeah.
So at that time, when there was no family of yours to have given birth to you,
Yeah.
when I was a student at the University of London, we, the Muslim students, were generally confronted with this question. And sometimes some non-Muslims tried to tease some Muslim boys by way of mocking at them, joking with them. And once I remember a Muslim boy at the university was suddenly confronted with this question. Somebody was in a nasty mood. He said, "Look here, I understand you have 4 mothers." So the immediate response was, "And I understand you have 4 fathers." You know, it was a pun on the word forefathers, but a very quick response and a good repartee. What he meant was that here you live in a promiscuous society where you don't care, free mixing with each other. So if I say you have 4 fathers, it is not just an allegation, it may happen. So this answer was by way of a response to a nasty question, but there is wisdom in it. The hard fact is that in those societies where they do not permit men to marry twice, more than once, when such situations appear where extra number of women are left, then there is a free mixing on both sides, then permissiveness develops, and then it's not just a question of man having 4 wives, then it also becomes a question of polyandry, where women don't hesitate to have extramarital relations. So the whole society is corrupted. So this is another aspect to which I wanted your attention to be drawn. If such debate grows further, you can point out at this evil as well. Right? Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Whose remark on the accepted Ahmadiyyat last week, watching your opinion should be marked.
What is he reading? What is he reading to himself?
So he's saying his family has accepted his family has accepted Ahmadiyyat last week.
Yes. When?
About a few weeks, about last week.